I think it's very, very reasonable to ask those who have become extremely wealthy at a time when every other part of society and our economy has been strained and pressed to the pin to contribute a little bit more. And that's what this would do, Minister. It would give you the option of looking at what it might be to introduce a threshold for high wealth individuals. And again, we're not even talking about those on 100,000, as I think was discussed in the previous amendment. We're talking about those with net assets of 10 million euro or more. They can contribute more. And it's worth bearing in mind that in this crisis that has strained and pressed all of us, not only have the very wealthiest become much more wealthy, as said, to the tune of billions and trillions, but they are also endangering us more in relation to the next crisis, because the next crisis is climate change. And a report from Oxfam this week pointed out that while the bottom portion of incomes, those on lower incomes, have decreased their emissions by 20% or 13%, the top 5% of the wealthy have increased their emissions even at a time of massive climate crisis. They've increased their emissions by 3%, and the top 1% of persons, that's again, those super wealthy that we're talking about here, those 300 individuals, for example, in Ireland, but the equivalent of them globally, the top 1% have increased their carbon emissions by 5%. So we have the very wealthiest creating greater danger and jeopardy for us in the future in terms of another crisis, which will be a huge crisis, which will take a toll on our collective economy.